Hi, this is Amanda. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how I created this cute illustration for my latest greeting card design. Feel free to draw along and enjoy some relaxing art time. You can grab the sketch and color palette for free, just check the links below. The brushes I'm using are also available in my art shop. And if you'd like to follow along this tutorial in real time, there's a full length version of this tutorial available for purchase. It's around an hour long. Everything's linked in the description. Now let's get started. We will be working on an A4 sized canvas with an RGB color profile and 300 dpi. First, after importing the sketch into Procreate, lower the sketch layer's opacity and set its layer mode to multiply. This way, the sketch lines will stay visible while we add colors underneath. Next, we create a new layer beneath the sketch layer. This will be our coloring layer. For this demonstration, I will be using the Amanda G6B brush from the Flat Color Brushes brush set. The first area we will color is the duckling's yellow head. It's one of the main parts of this illustration. You can see that I'm painting these on the layer underneath the sketch, so the lines can help guide where we place the color. The brush we're using, the Amanda G6B brush, has a bit of those pencil-like texture to it. So when you are laying down color, it's a good idea to sometimes turn off the sketch layer and check your color areas. If you see any unwanted white gaps showing through, just go in and fill those in a bit. So here you can see the duckling's yellow head, body, and the arm holding the umbrella on the left side. They are all painted on the same layer. Then I created a new layer, which is layer 5 for the yellow beak, and another separate layer for the blue outfit, just to keep things organized and easy to work with. You can see that when I'm blocking in these color areas, I usually start by using a smaller brush to carefully go around the edges first. Once the edges are clean and defined, I enlarge the brush to quickly fill in the middle. That's pretty much the whole process for laying down base colors. Just make sure the edges are neat and tidy, and the rest goes by really fast. Here you can take a look at the layer order I'm using. I've just created another new layer to add the pink color, and that's on its own separate layer as well. Now if you look at the duckling's right foot, the one on the left side in this drawing, I've placed that layer, which is layer 8, underneath all the other layer we've already painted. That's because this foot is positioned behind the duckling's body, so its layer needs to sit at the very bottom. The duckling's other foot is in front of its body, so we need to place that layer above the body layer. As you see, the body is on layer 4, and I created a new layer, layer 9, right above it to draw the second foot. Alright, from here on, I am not going to walk you through every single layer one by one. The main idea is that we are placing each object on its own layer based on where it sits in space. So things in the front go on top and things in the back go underneath. So really, when it comes to blocking in base colors, there are just two key things to keep in mind. Keep each color block crisp and make sure each one sits on its own layer with the correct front to back order. These will keep things tidy and much easier to manage later on when we add texture. Alright, at this point, all the base colors, also called the local colors, have been blocked in, each on its own separate layer. Now I'm selecting all of those color layers and grouping them together. I'm naming this group basic colors, and that wraps up for the first stage of the illustration. Next, I'm going to duplicate that entire group and rename the copy to adding texture. This will be our second step, where we will start building up texture and detail without affecting the original base colors underneath. Now, before we start step 2, which is adding texture, there's a bit of prep work we need to do. First, I'm going to alpha lock all the base color layers. These will keep any new brush strokes confined to the shapes we've already painted, so we won't accidentally paint outside of the edges while adding light and shadow. Basically, it helps us stay inside of the shape that we painted from step 1. Once that's done, I'm switching to a new brush for this step. I'll be using the grass texture brush from my texture brushes brush set. It has a nice grainy texture that works great for building up light, shadow, and subtle color variation. Alright, let's start adding light and shadow to the duckling's body. The lighting idea here is based on reflected light from the ground, which means the bottom area closer to the ground are catching more light. So I'm darkening the upper parts of the body that are farther away from the ground and lightening the lower part where that ground reflection hits the most. This creates a soft, natural looking contrast. Now for the blue outfit, I approached the lighting differently. I imagined the light source coming from above, like a soft skylight shining down. So I brightened the top left area of the outfit where it's closer to the sky and catching more light. Then I darkened the bottom right corner since it's farther from the light source and naturally falls more into shadow. So basically in the first step, each color block we painted was just a flat single color, kind of like a base coat with no variation. Now in the second step, we are building on top of those base colors by adding light and shadow to each one. For every color block, we look at which parts are closer to the light source and which parts are farther away. And we adjust the colors accordingly, adding a brighter tone where the light hits and a darker tone where there is shadow. Doing this gives each shape a nice color variation, and once all the blocks have both light and shadow, the entire illustration starts to look more three-dimensional. It no longer feels flat, it starts to feel like the duckling is being lit in a real space. And that's exactly what this step is about. Bring the illustration to life with light and form. For the third step, we create a new layer at the very top of all our layers. Then we set these new layers blend mode to multiply. This way, anything we paint on this new layer will darken the colors underneath, which is perfect for adding depth and detail. For this step, I switch brushes again, back to the Amanda Ninja 6B brush that we used in step 1. First, I go in and bring back some of the line details we had in the sketch, but haven't added yet, like the little line that separates the duckling's wing from its body, or defining the edge of the sweater sleeve. I will also sketch a few extra lines to suggest a knit texture of the sweater. Second, I darken some of the edges around each color block. Not all of them, just the ones that could use a bit more contrast to stand out. And lastly, I took at places where two objects touch or overlap, like the arm tucked against the body or the button of the sweater near the duckling's body. These are cast shadows, which help show how one object is affecting another with light. Now you might have noticed that in this step, I'm not using any colors from the color palette. And that's actually on purpose, because picking colors here is super easy. Basically, wherever you are painting, you will just sample the color directly from the area you're working on, then use that same color to paint on the multiply layer. Because this layer is set to multiply mode, it will automatically darken whatever color you picked from below, so you don't need to go hunting for new shades. Just pick from what's already there on your canvas. It's really that simple. Wherever you are painting, just sample from that spot and the layer mode will take care of the rest. And by the end of this step, your illustration will start to feel a lot more grounded and dimensional. Alright, that's it for today's illustration tutorial. I hope you learned something helpful from it. If you try this drawing yourself, I'd love to see it. Feel free to tag me and use the hashtag AmandaNinjaIllustration when you post. It always makes my day to see your homework. And if anything felt a little fast or hard to follow, don't worry. There is a real-time version of this tutorial available on my website where I talk through everything slowly as I draw. So if you like to go deeper, feel free to check that out too. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye!